right. Uh, my name is Toivo Vaje, and I come from a company called NAPA, which makes software for maritime industry. And I would like to tell you a bit about how we managed or didn't manage to transform. First, just one slide about the company. So we have currently about 185 employees. We have been in this business for more than 25 years. Software development on 3 sites, here in Helsinki, then in Bangalore, India, and also Galati, Romania. Then mostly like sales and customer service offices in other locations. And actually it's quite much used software, so 95% of world ships today are designed by our customers. So respectful, established company owned by Japanese people at the moment. And then again, we have this kind of guys working here, so maybe not that curly-faced, but rather open culture, and we like to experiment new things. So what I do, I have been doing development, Scrum Mastering, coaching, and then lately I try to kind of knit together processes so that we can have the best possible customer experience from end to end, so that we have some customer requirements and then we develop something and get it to the customers, the whole set. And I have divided this presentation in 3 parts. So first about the history, what happened before 2012, then about the change, and then about what we do nowadays. So 1989, in Wärtsilä shipyard, there was 7 people, and the Wärtsilä shipyard was going bankrupt. And these guys, they needed to kind of buy their own workplace. They had a unique solution for designing ships, and they decided that they would take a leap of faith and form an own company. And this included also calculating different things with the ships, and there really wasn't anything like that in the markets at that moment, and actually not that much nowadays either. But during the years, the organization grew, got bigger. First we had just one product called NAPA for Design. Then it was extended because it could be used for calculating ship stuff. Then we thought that, hey, maybe that could be on board also, that you can maybe think about how it's floating and doing something like which is not that easy. So maybe our software could be used for that also. Then because ships, they have a lot of steel structures, we made another software called NAPA Steel, which is for the structural design of the ships, and also calculating like finite element method and other things. Then, since most of the shipbuilding nowadays happens in Asia, we established representation offices in China, Japan, Korea, nowadays also in Greece. So got bigger and bigger. And then even the development, not just anymore in Helsinki, but also in other countries. First in Galati, Romania, and then later in India. And if you want to check, there's a website about the background of how NAPA worked or grew. But then, growing is not easy, as maybe kids probably know, and maybe grown-ups remember from their youth, that it's not easy. We used to make one annual release, and it was not easy to get it out. We had projects. It was nice to come up with new projects and just put them into some kind of list of let's do even this one, and not that nice to kind of kill down projects. So we had really many projects, and since we had not really defined that should the scope be this or something, and when should we release this one, so that varied. And because it would take about a year to get something to customers, in the end there was a lot of scope creep, like, hey, could you just fit this one more feature there, and maybe we could just put this here also. And this was showing up also in how the developers felt, like ongoing deathmatch that fix the bugs, find more bugs, fix the bugs, find more bugs, more features. Not that fun. So something needed to be done. And this was in 2012. Actually had been already maybe figured out by some people that we need to do something, but not what. So then this happened. It was kind of very big thing. Then if you work with the same ways of working for, let's say, 10 years, 20 years, or even 40 years, then it's not so easy to kind of learn new practices. And maybe it's easier to make something in a big bang. It didn't feel that good when we did it, but now after 2 years, it's easy to say that, okay, we might have done something differently, but probably something went okay also. So one big bang changed, and after that, our technology unit looked like this. Before it was like a big pool of people doing those projects. Some business people had some ideas, hey, let's do this, okay, let's do this, and then gather some kind of task force for all of these things. But then we adopted Scrum framework. So these are Scrum teams, product teams doing Scrum. And there were many distributed teams because we felt that it's not possible that if you don't have naval domain knowledge, for example, in India that much, we need to have some people from Finland also so that the teams can work efficiently. Then we had practices that would span between all these teams. Processes, nowadays people don't like to call them processes because that's like swearing, so I prefer talking about ways of working or something. And also many tools were shared between different teams. And all the teams also had their product owners who were then part of some business units, and there was technology, and from the business units we had the product owners. I assume that quite many of you are familiar with Scrum framework. Please raise your hand if you're not. Okay, so we were doing kind of by the book Scrum. So what we thought was that we first pick up the basics, so that let's try to just follow these practices and then modify if we think that something could be done better in some other way. So each team had their product owner, Scrum Master, who was also a developer in the team, and they were following their backlog. And how our releases changed from this 1 year or one big release, we moved into kind of cadence-based releases. So every 3 months we would try to make a new increment of working software. So we had fixed release cycle, 3 months, fixed quality, or that we want to meet these quality checks that otherwise it's like a failed release. And then also people, because we're dealing with very difficult maritime things that most of the people, they have master's or PhD degree. It's not something that you just go to the street and tell that, hey, could you come and do some software with us? So in that sense, that's fixed also. And in this 3-month period, we need to reserve some time for the integration. So we have the teams working on their own features and backlogs, and then we integrate these into one master product. Actually, we have many products, but in this most complex case. And then we have some time for freezing the code base, testing, making sure that we can release that one. So actually scope is the only variable that we have. So we can make a plan and then we can drop something if we see that it's not possible that we can do this in time. Then each of these releases, I like to see them as kind of, they can be split down into sprints. And on the other hand, I would like to see them as one step, logical step towards some like greater goal, some vision or roadmap that we would like to go that way, and this release will just take us a bit more to that direction. Then some practices that we have for aiding the teams. We started with having Scrum of Scrums, some experiments by Scrum Masters participating in this Scrum of Scrums, but the result was that the information didn't spread to the teams that much. Then we tried some random member from the team participating, but that resulted in people not paying that much attention, just focusing on their own team's work. And actually we dropped this practice. At the moment, we have just online chat. We use Flow for coordinating practices or efforts between different teams. Then we have a Scrum Master community of practice where the Scrum Masters meet, share their experiences, good practices and findings. Similarly for testers. And then we have a systems team that provides the tools that the teams work with. And that's actually, I don't want to advertise anything, but I think the tools are really important. I mean, if we had a case that when the audio systems didn't work that well, it was horrible to communicate something with the Indian guys. Even when they worked in the same team and you should be kind of working together and collaborating, it just didn't work. So the tools, they make a great difference. Also visibility. You cannot just have local boards where you have notes. So that's why we use Jira for everyone to see the same backlog. And all these Atlassian tools, they integrate nicely together, so that's also one good thing. All right, and then this is usually a common anti-pattern that you should have a product owner who has like the total dominance of the product. But we purposefully decided that we will split this between product manager and product owner, because it was so that if the product manager or the product owner was visiting customers in Asia, for example, for 3 weeks, the team was lost. Then on the other hand, if the person is not visiting the customers, then how do we know that we are really doing the right things? So that's why we decided that we need to split this. We can have both. Product owner is part of the Scrum team, and then product manager is thinking about different things, which I will show next. So the product manager in our case makes sure that we have also these big things. So if we have a bucket of things that we can do, in this case release, then the product manager makes sure that also those big rocks, they fit into this, and not just those small bubbles like the stories and tasks that the team can, they will fill all the remaining space with something to do. It's not that difficult. Also, someone should be looking at the longer time span, long-term plans. Usually, if you're sprinting, even with sustainable pace, you don't think that much about the, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year ahead. So we saw a great value in having someone who would think about those things, and also working as the proxy between the customers and the development. Then we have one release train engineer who will facilitate then the similar events as the sprint events in a team, but on the release level. So conducting release planning, demos, retrospectives, gathering the findings, and then also making sure that we make things visible, so that we have visibility to everything in the company, so we don't lose any valuable information. Okay, then the final part, release planning days. Nowadays, we plan the releases the whole company together. This is to provide a shared vision of the things, so that we don't have several implementations of the same idea, but maybe alignment or shared vision, whatever word you would like to use. And then people to see the linkage between the different abstraction levels, how this benefits the whole company, how my work is related to this. And also the communication aspect, that if you have people in the same room, they will communicate, hopefully. Then some conclusions. Collocated teams instead of distributed works better. Dedicated POs instead of someone who needs to rip apart, so the team always has someone to talk with. Increasing transparency, I think it has always been worth the investment, and working together, that works. So try to make the next day always better than this one. Then final thing, we have some values at the company, and one of those, my favorite, is enjoy working together. And here's one picture of our hackathon, first ever, where we kind of let everyone loose and form their own teams and do something for one day and show that to others. Thanks.